get you. In the past, we had the problem of the courts giving bail and so on, but I must thank the courts now. It seems they have guided their magistrates and people involved. They no longer carelessly give bail. So really the criminals, you are okay, causing just problems, but most likely you will lose either your freedom or even your life. Now, I came back here again to talk about the high cost of living because of so many things happening in the world. And I could see that probably the NRM Secretariat should do more work to explain to the public about what happens in the world that affects the lives of our people. The present hike of commodities, as I said the other week, really starts with two issues. Number one was the corona. That corona caused many businesses to close because hotels were closed, airlines were stopped, schools were closed, people could no longer congregate, so consumption went down in the whole world. People were consuming less. In fact, many of the companies got bankrupt. For instance, I know a textile company which was coming here to build a textile factory here. They had been in Ethiopia. We were discussing with them how to build textile factories here. And they were apparently a big company. But because of this corona, I hear they collapsed. Why? Because their business of textiles was based on supermarket. They produce textiles, they give them to the supermarket. Supermarket are the ones who sell the textiles. Now with the corona, people are no longer going to the textiles, to the supermarkets. Instead, a new business of delivering at home started. Totally new business. To order online. People are now ordering online and then they bring to your home. So the other companies, which were based on supermarkets, collapsed. So after 2 years of this closure, then the whole world opens up after the vaccination. Now, many of the companies which were producing some of the products had either collapsed or gone to other products. This is the story of the palm oil, the one for soap. The companies which used to produce palm oil for soap in Indonesia and in Malaysia had already forgotten about selling palm oil for soap because people were using less soap now. If the hotels are closed, the schools are closed, the airlines are no longer flying, how many people are using soap? Yes, they're using some soap, but small amounts in their homes. So the soap now was being used in homes, no longer in schools, no longer in hotels. Now, so some of those companies had either gone to other products or gone bankrupt. So when there was opening, the demand was so big, the companies could not catch up immediately. But in the case of palm oil, it seemed the Indonesians and the Malaysians had shifted that palm oil from soap making to something else, I think to making fuel or something like that. So that's why we told you that was one of the main problems, the problem of corona. But at the same time, another problem was coming up, the problem of fuel, the problem of petroleum. They use words which you may not know in our ordinary language. The problem of petroleum initially started with really it's an old story. I could say it starts with imperialism. The foreigners who from 1500 started coming from Europe and taking over the whole world. When the imperialists started moving towards Africa, following 1453 is when Constantinople, what is now called Istanbul, was taken over by the Turks. The Muslims came from the east and they captured that city of Constantinople. In what in the Bible, in the book of the Acts of the Apostles, is what they call Asia Minor. Asia Minor, during that time of Jesus, people who were living there were, I think, Greeks or people like that. That's why you hear places in the Bible, Galatia, Ephesus, those are all biblical names, mainly occupied by Greeks. Corinth is still there. That one is in Greek. Thessalonica. Now, part of that land was taken over by Muslims in 1453. And when the Muslims took over, they blocked the West Europeans from getting products from the East, from China and India, especially spices. Spices were very crucial for preservation of food during winter. So the Europeans now started looking for another way to go to the East. That's how they started, the Portuguese started trying to go around Africa. 1472, they got near Sierra Leone. 1482, they got to where Angola is now. 1487, a man called Bartholomew Diaz got to what they call the Cape of Good Hope. And 1498, Vasco da Gama went around South Africa and landed at Natal on Christmas Day, 1498. That's why they call Natal, Natalis, being born. Now, these Europeans initially were really pushed by genuine reasons, by good reasons. They wanted to go to the East to avoid the Muslims who had blocked them, to get products which they needed for their lives. But now, a new problem came in. They became greedy. Instead of looking how to solve their problems, they now wanted to control the people they were coming across. And they started taking slaves. So the slave trade started from that time, from about 1472, and it went on for almost 300 years. up to 1822, when William Wilberforce started a movement in England to fight, to stop it. So, in that process of the Europeans being greedy, they started doing really things which are not properly thought out. Just looking for money, shortcut, money. You can imagine slave trade. That was one of the ways they were going to make money. But then there was another problem. The problem of internal weaknesses among ourselves, especially at that time by the tribal chiefs. Tribal chiefs, instead of defending us, they were busy fighting one another. And that's how, by 1900, Africa, having gone through slave trade of almost 400 years, the whole of Africa is colonized. Combination of external greed and internal weaknesses. Now, the greedy foreigners, because of looking for quick ways of how to make money, not looking for solutions, they kept coming up with all sorts of things. Some of them good, some of them not properly thought out. You come to the question of, but before I come to that, when they came here, the Europeans, they created another local group of people who were believing in whatever they were being told. Do this, they do it. Do that, they do that. These were like the soldiers, like the Idi Amin type, the clerks who were working with the Europeans, and some of the business groups which came up, these commission agents who import things from others and sell here. So that was also another problem. So you get the foreigners, greedy, you get the original group, the chiefs who did not mobilize us and were busy fighting one another. Then you get another group of internal collaborators. So when these people come with their greed, Africa had very many good things which had been proven by time that they can work and they are safe. You want to dry millet, use the sun. The sun was the energy. Because if you use the word energy in English, our people may not get it very well. They may think energy is, the other day in Solota I said, you translate energy, somebody said strength, amani. It's not amani. Energy in this case means things you use to help you. I don't know how you will translate it. You have to look for how to translate it. Even atuyamba okukola ku mirimu egimu. Energy, because energy now you are talking of, you want to dry millet, use the sun. Combining the sun and the wind, because the wind also dries. You want to winnow, to remove husks from millet, use wind. But Banyankore women ukwera, they do like this, and then the wind blows away the husks. Umweziga. You want to cook, you use firewood. That is all together called energy in English now. We must get a word which we can translate so that our people can understand it. Because when you say energy, for them, our people say amani. Because I had somebody trying in Latin to say Aigong. I said, no, Aigong is for wrestling. it doesn't answer the issue. So, for us, for centuries, we are using sun to dry, wind to blow things, fire to cook, to roast, pressure to okura, when you are, the Baganda I think call it okuba, but the Banyangwara have got a better word, okura. When you heat millet and you separate it. So we are using that science, which was safe and proven that it has no danger. Now, these people come, they say, no, there is a new source of energy. It is called petroleum. It is from the soil. Initially, we in Ntungamo were suspicious about petrol. I had my aunt in the 1940s and 1950s. When she would go to Ntungamo, to the trading center, she would come back holding her nose that the vehicles have okunyampa. Okunyampa is when the gas coming out of the southern part of the body. I don't know what they call it in Uganda, but in Nyankole it means. So my aunt, she was older than me. She was a teenager. The gas of the cars have upset my stomach that she cannot eat because she has smelled and we thought it was, and then she would go and see we had that small group of Indians. For us, we the Banyankore, don't eat fried food. We just boil the food. You boil it. You can add some ghee, but we never fry. They do frying oksika. It's not part of our culture. So my aunt will come back, that she has seen people at Ntungamo Trading Center eating Eviroro. Eviroro are the brown film which you see in the swamp. The swamp, I think it is some form of iron, some suspension on top of the water, of the swamp water. I have seen people eating that swamp suspension. And so on. Rice, I will not tell you what she told me about rice because you may kill me. Because we are not eating rice. but no, we are told no. This is modernity. Forget about your drying, the way you are drying, forget about the other one. Now this is the modern thing. Now, the people who are pushing this, we are pushing it without fully understanding the science of petrol. Now, after almost 100 years, something of using petroleum, it has turned out to be a big poison. When you use petroleum in cars, it increases the amount of carbon dioxide in the air, and the whole world, the carbon dioxide is like a blanket, does not allow heat to escape into beyond the atmosphere, and therefore you endanger the climate of the globe. So after 100 years of using this material, the whole world is now saying, we are dying. So recently, there was a conference in Scotland. I didn't go, but Dr. Gunda went there, and they said petroleum must not be used in cars after 20 years. So that's how now the companies which have been looking for petroleum stopped. They are no longer looking for the petroleum. They are no longer looking for new petroleum. So the small amount of petroleum which is already known, the price has now gone up. Even before the war in Ukraine, it had gone from I think it was $60, it had gone to $80. With the war in Ukraine, it went to now 100. So that's the issue of petroleum. Now, why the prices are up? The prices are that petroleum, again, it will no longer be used in vehicles. Some of these people can talk more about it if they know more about it. Later, I will ask them. So that means, the world is now saying you must go to the African energy, the one they abandoned, the one they told us to abandon. We must go back to the African energy, which is what? Solar, wind, of course there is some hydro. Hydro was added. Was added. Of course, the Africans were also using hydro not to produce electricity, but to do work, to wash, to things, to clear. They were using water for that. So the world is now going away from petroleum for cars to solar, wind, nuclear, and hydro. That's the problem of petrol. Why it has gone up now? So you should all know it. Don't get worried that Uganda had just found petroleum. Now it has lost at ADBA. It has now lost value. No. First of all, these 20 years, where we can get we can harvest like the others are harvesting, because it takes time to migrate, to go from petrol to the other forms of energy. But even after that, I think you have seen me these days putting on a very nice shirt, which I put on all the time. That shirt is 65%, what do you call the thing? Polyester, 65% polyester. Even these uniforms we are putting on, they are 65% polyester, 35% cotton. So petroleum will still be used for cloth, for fertilizer, for tarmac roads, making tarmac roads, for other things. It will still have use. The people can explain about it later. I brought the scientists here. I will introduce them to you. They will explain to you. Because I want you all to know what is happening. So what will change, therefore, is from using the petroleum in the car, because that's the bad use. This is the bad use. To safer uses. We should have safer uses. So therefore, when this problem comes up, and by the way, the kutomera by these money seekers is not only in petroleum. I remember 1964, I think that was the year when cotton got to the lowest price. Why? At that time, nylon, there was a fiber known as nylon. Oh, nylon is the good. So people were abandoning cotton. 1964. You can check the records. 64 Then after some years, nylon is not good. It's not good for the skin. We'll go back to cotton. So that kutomera, that greed for money, which does not make them do proper research, is what you should know. Asbestos. At one time, asbestos is the good material. After some time, asbestos is causing cancer. So, now in this case, because petroleum used to drive cars goes into everything. That's why you find even matoke from Bushenyi, from Chenjojo, is also expensive. Why? Because the vehicles carrying it are using fuel which is very expensive. So therefore, the question is, what do we do? Some people have been saying, remove taxes on some of the fuel. Others say, subsidize. But we have advised you that that's not wise. We have advised that you see what you are recommending is that we subsidize the graveyard. Dead life is the one we should subsidize. And for us, we are advising you that, please, if we have got money, let us put it to where there is safety. Gye tunaatera okusenga, si bwe tugamba mu lulimi olwaffe. Akasente mu kifo ky'okateeka mu amatongo mu ekiri amatongo ebifurukwa mu ekiri amatongo. Abaganda banyankole ddala, balinga abanyankole boogera lulimi lumu. Akasente, this little money we have, instead of putting it here where there is danger and people are running away, let us put it where we are going, so that we can get there faster and we are safer. And where is the safe place? Two places. Number one, electric vehicles, electric buses, electric lorries, electric minibuses. They're even talking of electric bodabodas, I hear, and electric cars. Fortunately, we had started building these vehicles. We were not doing it because we knew that petroleum would become a big problem, but we were doing it in order to develop our country. Of course, we were also looking at assembling and fabricating the buses of the diesel. Like, for instance, our man Katavazi, Metu, Met was putting it together, fabricating the diesel ones. But when this problem has come, we have said, only the one who is mad can continue with this. Let's go to the safer solution. Now the second solution is the train. The train, because the train will use either electricity or will use, even if they use diesel, it will be much less diesel, I think. I don't know. We need to get there. But we can use electricity for the train so that we use much less fuel. So today, I brought scientists here so that they tell you more about these solutions. Maybe I start with Musasizi to tell us about the electric vehicles.
Thank you, Your Excellence, for the guidance you've given to the nation. Indeed, electric vehicles are the correct way to go because on top of the environmental opportunities that we get by avoiding pollution, and here, Your Excellence, allow me to note that a typical diesel bus releases 1.2 kilograms of carbon dioxide per kilometer. The acceptable standards by the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe is 172 grams per kilometer. So when you do the computation, you see that this is way over and above what is acceptable, and the electric bus emits 0. Now, while the cost of the electric bus initially is higher, perhaps twice that of its diesel equivalent along the entire segment of products, the total cost of ownership, which combines the initial cost of the asset plus the operating and maintenance cost and the running costs, what you put in fuel and so on, combined over its life. For the electric bus, it is 60% of the total cost of ownership of an equivalent diesel bus. And here, Your Excellency, I would also want to continue to note that when we look at the Kayola electric bus, in its life, it gives you 900,000 kilometers in its life. The diesel equivalent will give you 200,000 kilometers before you go to either do a total overhaul or have challenges of very expensive running costs because of regular breakdown. Your Excellency, also allow me to note that in terms of energy consumption for the electric bus compared to the diesel equivalent, we are looking at the electric bus consuming 22% of the diesel equivalent. And when I talk in the language that the Honorable would understand better, we are saying that the electric bus consumes just under 1 unit. And if this unit we are using the utility or the street lighting tariff, it's about 370 Uganda shillings. So just under 1 unit, we are talking about 360 Uganda shillings to run 1 kilometer of a bus, which has a capacity of 90 passengers. The diesel equivalent costs 5 times more to run. So we see that there is a great opportunity there when we are moving. Allow me also to note that there are opportunities in other segments like the border borders, which will continue to play a very important role in logistics and the feeder route for passengers, bringing people from home to the stage as they're used today. And we see that today already here in Uganda, a boda which uses petrol costs about 5 million, brand new. That is a Bajaj 100cc. And we have people who are already either assembling or even doing some local manufacturing of parts in bodas. We have Zembo, we have Border Work.
They are manufacturing
bodas. They're assembling and also manufacturing some parts of bodas, electric bodas. Electric. Mm-hmm. And a brand new electric boda made by the International University of East Africa, which is here, is going for 7 million shillings. It may still be a little bit higher, but when we go into the operating costs, certainly the users will benefit more by even up to 25% cut, or rather a difference in terms of operating and running costs. So while right now these initiatives are still on a small scale, as we transition and we get to enjoy the economies of scale, we will see better benefits in terms of putting more money in the user and the operators of these devices. Allow me to also note that Your Excellency, our power generation, again, Honorable Nankabira is better positioned to talk about it, but we are generating a lot of power. The last time I checked, we were at about 1,000, just above 1,200, moving on to almost 2,000 megawatts of generation capacity. And our consumption was still shy of 700 megawatts. Now, yes, we will produce petroleum over time, and it has so many other applications, but this energy, when you look at our energy equation, you import petroleum to run mobility devices, but we're also generating energy, which is